So the first part I thought I was filming and I wasn't. So what I've essentially done here is gotten a little bit of acrylic inks, and I'm using Schminker, and what I've done is just put them in a spray bottle in the fuchsia, the magenta and the yellow, and all I've done is just added a little bit of water and I'm spraying those permanent inks onto the page. So the difference between those and other inks is that they then, when they dry, are permanent. So I then decided, just while I'm drawing this face, I then decided that I would allow them to run and then I would blot them so that I would have all those interesting shapes, because I then, after having a look at that, went, oh, that looks like really dreamy floaty hair, and I think that I will do a girl with floaty hair that goes across the page. And so I'm just like, oh, how lovely. And of course this bottom layer is permanent, so I can do whatever I want over it and it won't move. And that's one of the beautiful things about converting your inks that dry permanent into sprays, and you need very, very little of them, and then they're there and they're permanent. So now I'm just going over, it's not a glaze, it's actually just the flesh tone, and all I'm really wanting to do is just provide a base coat and lighten up. And she kind of looks like she's got a face covered in chalk and talcum powder at the moment, but that's just my way of lightening it up to then shade it properly, rather than having it look all really orange and pink and yellow. Not that I'm didn't like that, but the background is so much that I wanted her to have just a little bit of difference from that. So now I'm just putting in some of those highlights that'll come in, and I decided that I would use I'm going to do a hair, so I'm just using again an artist acrylic ink. I'm just using it straight neat out of the bottle. This is Art Spectrum inks, so not the Schminker inks, the Art Spectrum inks. So the Schminker inks are they are a little bit stronger in pigment than the Art Spectrum ones, and I wanted it to look not as strong. So now I'm using watered down gesso, because I want to separate the hair, and so the inks will show through, particularly as this dries. I wanted the hair to be a bit separate from the rest of the page, but I really like the background so much that I didn't want to completely cover it up. So all I did was just water it down a little bit. So you can see it's still there, but it's not completely covered up. So all I'm using is a raw sienna gouache. I want to do something a little bit different, and she gives, you know, that gives a bit of a translucency, and it's not so, you know, when I use it with the aqua brush, it waters down very nicely and blends very nicely. And then I went a bit overboard down here. Don't worry, I'll fix that later. And so just putting in those shadows in the cool places. I've already put some undertonings. Now I'm going over in the flesh tone in a gouache again. So the difference between watercolour and gouache is opaque and watercolour is translucent. But you can still water the gouache down so that it becomes more translucent, but it has sediments in it rather than pigments. So when this was dry, I thought, oh, I'm going to have a go with the soft pastels, because I want to smooth out that tone, and what better way to do it than soft pastels. So I'm just doing exactly the same thing that I did with paint, I'm now doing with soft pastels, and I'm using different tones of flesh and pink. That's actually quite pink, just to bring some pink into her skin. Now I'm using a pale cool blue rather than white to really cool down those light highlights. And now I'm just using a 1.0 rollerball India ink permanent pen, and because I just want to sketch these details in before I do anything else. I haven't set these chalks yet, but I will. And she's looking a bit cute, isn't she? You just want to continue that on just with some light sketching. So I'm just using like a normal blue Crayola marker and a little bit of Letraset here. And putting the whites in, some highlights, just smudging those into the chalks. And I'm whiting her eyes in now because I always like to have the eyes very much a point of difference. And they look really white at this point. So now I'm just adding in some further highlights for her face. And I decided that she needed darker eyelids and some eyelashes. And I thought, oh no, I want some more orange, so I'm just going to get a little bit of that Adirondack dabber, and I'm just rubbing it in gently, and that's some Squeeze Lemonade Distress Paint. I just wanted something a little bit different. So now I've just got a pale pink marker, and I'm just putting the pink into the eyeballs. Now I've got a 70% grey Prismacolor pencil, and all I'm doing is just shadowing in those eyes a little bit and just adding some final deeper tonings now, just to smooth everything out, lighten things up, smooth everything out. And I was happy with that. So now I'm just quickly sketching in what I want to say. Let's just dream a little. And all I did after this point was just go and sketch that in with a marker, with a rollerball pen, off camera, because I had let that all set, because before I did this part I then went and sprayed her face. So that's after I had finished that. And then this is after I'd also applied the fixative for the pastel. So she's looking a bit gorgeous now. And I was really happy with that. I didn't feel the need to do anything else. I was really happy with that page. So learn something new today, keeps you young. I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.